Why are there shipping apps out there if I could just install Shopify to calculate my shipping rates?
I don't know.
Yeah. Dimensional weight.
Oh, yeah.
They can't. That's kind of important. Welcome to the Decoding Cross-Border Ecommerce podcast. And today, Aaron, we're going to bring back a fan favorite, Kilie, who talked about inclusive pricing on another podcast, specifically inclusive pricing on Shopify.
On Shopify, yep.
She's our in-house expert. And so we need her here to just give us a general overview of Shopify and the platform. And then I think we're going to want to bring you back for another episode to talk about international specifically, but we're going to save that one for later. So Aaron, she has a joke, but I haven't heard it. So
I like surprise jokes.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, I think it's a little better than last time. So hopefully. Okay, so why did the Scarecrow become a successful entrepreneur?
I feel like
I'm actually trying to think, but I do not know.
Because he's outstanding in his field.
Oh, I heard. Okay. I've heard similar ones to that, but
it was good.
I like that.
All right, that's getting us warmed up really well. I think we should just start up like in general, talking about Shopify. Maybe first I can give some of my background, and we have a family business and have a Shopify store. So it's a great platform where we're able to easily manage lots of different products and install different apps. It's just, I don't have to be a developer. And, it's, when we bought the business, it came, it was a Shopify, it had a Shopify store. So no, it's been really good. I mean, pretty straightforward, I think, to use. But why don't you talk about in general, who it's kind of good for, the type of companies that you see on Shopify, and then we'll maybe jump into, we'll jump into selling internationally on Shopify.
Cool. Yeah. I think Shopify really excels at making things really easy to install, easy to set up. And so it's really good for merchants or stores that are just starting out. But then it also allows them to grow because it has like different things that you can do as you increase in their like plan levels. So really great for small stores. It allows them to grow a little bit and customize things through that app store. I think there's like 10,000 apps on it. So you can customize to however you want it to work. But then you have to make sure that, the apps play well together, and that all the subscriptions for all those apps, they'll add up as well. But you can kind of customize to however you want it to be.
So would you say for someone that wants to start an online presence and have a storefront, is it pretty much the easiest platform to go and be up and running and live with that's out there?
I think so. Yeah, I know you inherited it. But I created a Shopify store. We sold mostly on Etsy, so I didn't do too much with it, but I created Shopify, BigCommerce, and a couple others. But Shopify was by far the easiest to just get set up with, and as somebody who didn't have any kind of technical experience before.
That'd be good for me. So that means I can set up a store to compete with Clint's family business.
Uh-oh.
And since my family's bigger than Clint's family.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
That's a lot of free employees. Child labor, though. These are little ones.
They could think it's fun, though.
Yeah, we'll make it a game. Okay, that's awesome. So, how does that typically work? Like, my understanding is with Shopify, like if I wanted to get started with my own store, there's different levels of plans, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much is it? Like, what's the cheapest way to get started? How much does it usually cost?
Yeah, there's the basic Shopify, which I think is like $29 a month, and then there's just plain Shopify. We call it Shopify Vanilla, but it's just Shopify. And then there's Shopify Advanced and Shopify Plus. And Shopify Basic, you don't actually see a ton of people on, I feel like, unless they're really just barely starting out. Shopify and Shopify Advanced are kind of the middle of the road. And then Shopify Plus is significantly more expensive. I think it's like $2,300 a month for Shopify Plus. So it's quite a bit more. And then Shopify Advanced is, I don't know if I have it. It's $299 a month. $299 a month. So it's 670% increase going from that plan to Shopify Plus. But Shopify Plus is where you get a lot more of the customizability, a lot more of the features, like extensibility, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later, is limited just to Shopify Plus.
Gotcha. So it does have the ability for me to start simple, and then as my family business
Yeah.
booms and I need more ways to customize and grow my brand, then I could, spend a little more and get more functionality with it.
It can grow with you. It starts out really, really basic for just anybody to get started really easily, and then it kind of grows with it. But then the cost increases too.
Got it.
And then what are some typical apps that people usually would install that isn't native in Shopify? Because it's great to use the native stuff they have, but obviously they have an app store so that customers can find something that better suits them. So what are some of the typical ones out there that you see getting installed?
Yeah, we see a lot of subscription ones. So like Recharge, different subscription apps, marketing apps often as well, because I think that's one thing that people think is harder than they would expect is getting the marketing down, because Shopify makes it very easy to start the website, but then you still have to get traffic there. And then you have like different shipping apps, different customizations during checkout for like messaging throughout, or localization apps to make it feel localized to the shoppers that are in different areas. Those are some big ones that we'll see. There's also like finance ones and accounting.
And then people can build private apps, and depending on it, they still have to get approved, a private app, but it won't be on the app store. And so sometimes you might get contacted by somebody that has a service and they ask you to install the app, but it's a private app.
Yeah.
Okay. And any other features or things is Shopify in general before we dive into the international? Actually, I have one other question about it though, but unless you have some, do you have anything?
Maybe just kind of to set the stage for later conversations too. You can connect like your own carrier accounts with Shopify, or you can just kind of get started their own like major carrier accounts, UPS, DHL Express, or DHL e-commerce and Express.
What does that mean? Like connect your carrier accounts? What is that going to do for you?
So whenever you set up your Shopify store, then you have to have shipping options available in the checkout for your shoppers. And so you can connect your carrier account if you have your own
to calculate the shipping rate, but they don't need to if they don't want to use the carrier rates.
Shipping, yeah.
But if they just wanted to like do flat rate shipping, do you need to connect your carrier account to do that?
I'm not sure if for labels you probably wouldn't have to, because you can use other services for labels.
Yep.
So yeah, you can just do flat rates. You see that a lot with domestic, especially.
What's one big limitation on Shopify when it comes to calculating shipping? Do you know? What is the biggest limitation to calculating shipping on Shopify?
You mean with their tool to just
Why are there shipping apps out there if I could just install Shopify to calculate my shipping rates?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dimensional weight.
They
can't. That's kind of important. So
yeah, that's especially internationally.
Natively,
that's
they don't manage.
I didn't realize
item level DIMs.
Yeah.
And then in the checkout, they can't calculate dimensional weight.
Oh, that's huge.
Even domestically.
Yeah, well, it's big in general, yes.
There is no way to manage dimensional weight calculations.
Yeah. They had it actually for a very brief time as like a beta thing, and then they turned it off. Yeah, a few merchants were able to try it out, but yeah, they don't have it.
So that probably shows why, you have apps out there specifically for, and we had intuitive shipping on. That's an example of one.
So customers use us to do the same thing on international, calculate the DIMs.
Absolutely. Yeah. But there's some specifically at just rating and making sure you're calculating the right shipping rates for your business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sure at their scale, one of the problems with that beta, I'd imagine, is even if you turned on the settings, it's like it takes some work and effort, like support even, right? Like sometimes you need hand holding to figure out why something happened the way that it happened, right? With dimensional weight and using the actual and then also, it's and then depending on what you have to negotiate with the carrier, well, ideally that's coming back from the carrier, but what they're not calling for the carrier for the rate, then it won't work because you don't know what the dimensional factor is. So yeah. Okay. Now, I have another question. If Shopify sounds so great, why doesn't everybody use Shopify? What are some reasons in stores that you see that don't use Shopify?
I think the main one is, we mentioned customizability within apps, but they actually control a lot in order to make things kind of play nice with each other. And so there is a lot of limited customizability as well. So if you really want to make your own, website, then it's going to be different from like a cookie cutter Shopify site?
I don't, we work with a lot of part companies. I don't know any of them that are on Shopify.
No, managing, I mean, and that's the industry I came from too, which everything we did was custom.
Yep.
Because there's so much complexity in managing parts and what machines they fit and making it easy for someone to navigate all of that to find the right parts for their machine. And that's some complex logic to have that support lots of different industries. That would be really difficult for Shopify to be able to support that.
I think I would say apparel, easy button, Shopify. Not apparel, make sure that Shopify is the right platform. Right? Might be. Yeah. It might be. Just make sure that it meets your needs. The other issues too with using Shopify is Shopify payments. They really push that hard. So if you want control of your own payments, you lose some of that on Shopify. And it can get more costly than it seems. As you're like, they might say, okay, it's this much for credit card processing, but it's not flat. It still depends on the credit card. It still can get actually kind of expensive. So I think be mindful of understanding what your true costs are going to be. You might want to install an app and you realize it doesn't work unless you're on their, on Shopify Plus. So what about extensibility? Is now a good time to talk about that, or you want to talk about that one later?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Extensibility was a big change that Shopify did, where you used to be able to customize the checkout however you want to. There was just a place where you can add in just a different script or however you want to make adjustments to it. It was open to you. It was their checkout.liquid file. And the problem with that is as you make adjustments to that file, then if Shopify comes out and makes, updates, or if other apps come up and make updates, then it can end up causing issues with whatever customized script that you have in there. And so there wasn't a good way to keep that script up to date or those customizations bug-free or break-free. And so they've customized it so that there are certain sections within the different pages, the checkout page, thank you pages, admin pages, where you can make different changes. And that's called extensibility. So there's different extensions that different companies can make. So we have an extension on our app for Shopify Plus users that can modify the checkout experience a little bit for them, provide a bit more of a breakdown. So companies...
Does that work then for any plan?
No, it's just Shopify Plus.
Oh.
Yep.
They're trying to get you to upgrade.
You got to pay to play.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It was a big change. We had to rewrite a lot of our app in order to use it. It's using all of the latest of Shopify. And so we're able to do a lot more with it now. But in a lot of ways, it's more restrictive than it had been before.
So it sounds to me like the roots of Shopify was ease of use for anybody to get up and going, having a website. And maybe in the early days, it was harder for large organizations that need a lot of customization to work with Shopify. But Shopify is working to accommodate that more, right? And accommodate more customizations for larger merchants. Is that kind of fair? As they go through their evolution, they're trying to figure out ways to support.
They're definitely trying to get into the enterprise. I mean, they have some enterprise customers, but yeah, that's...
Yeah, the extensibility really happens in the checkout pages or thank you pages and things. There's still the themes, which you install to control how your website looks and the functionality of it, which I think would still be a little bit problematic for your type of scenario where you have different parts for different vehicles or things like that, where you have to kind of move your shopper in a certain direction. They're set up more for a cookie cutter kind of shopping experience.
Okay.
What about inventory tracking on Shopify? How is, because we use a third party, because we have so I use SKU Vault for our, family business. So how does inventory tracking work on Shopify? What are the options?
Yeah. So you can set up different warehouse locations, and they can be even in different countries. But basically, you can assign inventory to your different locations. And then they actually made an improvement on this where you have split shipments. So if you have items coming from different countries in the same order or in the same cart at checkout, it used to just combine the shipping costs, and it would be really difficult for fulfillment because it would just say Even if there's two different shipping services, it would combine it just to say shipping, and that's it.
But isn't that hold on? You said from different countries, but in this case, it's actually going to. You mean
two different
fulfillment houses? It probably inside the United States. That's probably the most likely scenario. We're just so used to international, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
like something might be shipping from Washington, the other one from Texas.
Yes.
And in the checkout, it would display them as split shipments.
Yeah, in the checkout now, it'll show it as two separate shipments, kind of like Amazon.
Yeah.
People are familiar with that. So you can select what different shipping option you want for each shipment, each package. And then you can choose, the cheapest one for one, and then slower for maybe a different item that you don't need as quickly. That was a recent change that they made just a few months ago. That was a pretty big one. But yeah, so you can assign different inventory to different locations. It doesn't always have to be the same one. And then it'll keep track of inventory if it's available or not. You can take like pre-orders and things like that, and it can keep track of all of that for you. But a lot of people do have different inventory apps where they've managed things further through the app.
Well, and I think out there, Shopify is such a massive platform that a lot of your shipping platforms and WMSs and other fulfillment softwares can tie into Shopify and sync with Shopify, right?
Yeah, that's another big benefit of Shopify, I think, is that it's such a big player that most things that you're using, if you're wanting to shop out to different providers, will have some kind of a Shopify integration.
I would say, it kind of as we finish up, Shopify is now a very, very big company. So kind of know what you're getting into when you get into it with a big company, whether you're the merchant or if you're a partner, you're going to be on their app store, right? Because back in the day, before Shopify payments was a thing, they brought in a lot of payment providers. And you've seen some pretty good battles out there with Shopify and different companies where, Shopify, they will build some things natively. And they know it's probably going to piss off some of their partners, and so you just got to be aware what you're getting into if you're a partner. Now, from the merchant side, it definitely can provide a more seamless experience, right? A little bit like Apple, where it's like, hey, we're going to give you as much of a native experience as possible. That's great, and so I think that there's a lot of that focus on the customer. I'm for sure they're worried about their bottom line. They're a public company, and you got to hit your numbers, and so they're trying to find ways to manage growth. But I just think eyes wide open if you're a merchant or a partner if you're going to work with Shopify. But I thought this was a really good overview, and we're going to have you back, Kilie, because we want to really talk about selling internationally on Shopify, and we're going to save that for our next episode. But I think this was a great overview of Shopify. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Kilie.